Hello and welcome to Yesterday's Airlines. In this video we're going to be taking a look at two very special new releases which are going to be really highly sought after but will be no doubt difficult to get hold of. And you can see here in their boxes that they are both Airbus A380s and they are both in the colours of a Middle Eastern airline who usually doesn't like people making their models. And that airline is of course Emirates. Now, there are lots of Emirates A380s floating about on the marketplace. In fact, there have been over 50 made, but about 40 of those are made by Gemini jets, mostly in special colours, but not all of them. There are standard schemes around. And although they are perfectly fine models, the Gemini Jets A380 is a really obsolescent mould with a not great nose section and other features which make it, just a bit old because the mould dates from the early 2000s, actually before the A380 even flew. But you don't get models in Emirates colours from many other brands because of that licensing problem. There have been some recently, but they're often quite hard to get hold of. This C model's Boeing 737-300, for example, was a relatively recent release, but again, not widely sold, but can be found on Taobao and other places. And NG models themselves have made some A350s as well in recent times. So there are some modern releases using Emirates, but typically you've got to be quick and careful about where you're getting them from. And there have been rumours of Emirates sending around a very strongly worded letter to retailers, so it's not like they're likely to be sold widely. Now, Aviation400 is a brand that I've been following for a long time and I really, really enjoy. They've been producing some really nice models with lots of excellent features. And they've also made a few Emirates releases in recent times as well. They made a very nice Airbus A350 not too long ago in the new colours, which I managed to get hold of and did feature in one of my Xin Long videos not too long ago, and that one came with the classic gears up. They've also made a very nice A380 in the new scheme, but with a special livery celebrating the French rugby in 2023, and that was another beautiful model which also came with their trademark detachable magnetic landing gear. And their Airbus A380 mold is spectacularly good. It is the best on the market, right up there with the HX models A380, which we haven't seen much of, but is also very nice. Certainly a dramatic improvement over the Gemini version. So it's definitely a mold which people want to see in the Emirates colours, and finally they're going to see that. So in this video we're going to be checking out a couple of new release Aviation400 Emirates A380s in the standard scheme, no special colours, both the old and the new liveries, and these models are going to sell like hotcakes if you can find them. And now I've seen them listed at a couple of retailers so far, but only for a very short time, and they've quickly vanished, and I don't expect them to be widely sold. So you really, going to have to search if you want to get hold of these. But I've managed to very luckily get hold of both of them, so we're going to take a closer look at those in this video now. Before we do that, however, don't forget to chuck a like on the video if you're enjoying the content and subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much to everybody who does. Also, don't forget to check out the sponsor of this video, Northeast Diecast, who have an amazing array of second-hand models on sale at their website. And if you want to buy some of their models at Northeast Diecast, and I highly recommend taking a look because they do have hundreds of often very rare models, then don't forget to use the Yesterday's Airlines 15 discount code for 15% off your entire order. Yesterday's Airlines 15. Check out Northeast Diecast and use the Yesterday's Airlines 15 discount code. But let's get on and see how good this new pair of A380s from AV400 are. So we're going to start with the older colours Airbus A380, and this aircraft is registered A6EVS. And you can see it comes in a fairly generic box, as you may well expect considering the subject matter. But here she is in the box, and you can also see that AV400 have modified the box to hold in the gear components separately and also to hold the stand and gears up components. So that's really nice detailing on the box, which is a really good protection for the model, much better than a lot of the plastic cradles that I see. You can see there's also got some little styrofoam parts in to protect the wingtip fences on the model. So just get that box open, and there she is. Now, it's hard to believe we haven't had a standard colours Emirates A380 from anybody but Gemini Jets since, I think, around 2008, when I believe Dragon Wings made a couple. So it's kind of incredible. There have been a couple of witty versions that are made later, and they're almost in the standard scheme, but not quite. So it really has been a complete stranglehold for Gemini, who have the license to make Emirates models. And this has not been released for a long, long time, anything but their Airbus A380. Now you can see that obviously, as I said, it comes with the magnetic detachable landing gear, and when you get out of the box, none of the gear is attached. So it's easy to slot in the gear components. As you can see, they fit so nicely. If you've not got any of these magnetic gear from Aviation400, I can assure you they work really, really well. As I understand, HX models are also producing detachable gear, but currently it's not magnetic. It just has some kind of sticky plastic, which isn't going to be anywhere near as good as this magnetic gear, which can be attached and detached kind of as often as you possibly like. It is a little fiddly, but it does work really well. Oops. And you can see that the gear just slots in really nicely and hangs really well. I've never had a problem with the gear detaching with any of these magnetic land gear from AV400, and the model looks excellent with the gear attached. Their AV400 A380 has a really good mold across the board, really excellent detailing, and they've also recently modified the spacing of the main gear landing units as well, which was probably the only thing that was really something you could criticize. But there's lovely detailing, as you can see, at the rear of the fuselage and the tailpipe there. Wonderful, great big vertical stabilizer, and lovely detailing on the engines under the wings and the rear body, where you can see the big Emirates branding on the belly. So a really nice A380 mold, and this is the cornerstone of my A380 collection. Pretty much all my A380s nowadays are AV400 versions, because I just love the mold, love the detailing on the engines, pretty much love everything about them. This is a spectacularly nice 400 scale mold from AV400, which I've reviewed a few times here in various videos at the sample stages. And also don't forget to check out yesterdaysairlines.com, where I've looked at this mold in detail many times, the samples, and I've also reviewed some of the previous releases. So if you don't have any of these yet, I can really highly recommend them. And this version looks particularly nice, really crisp printing here of this, quite an attractive old livery from Emirates with the big billboard tiles. Very, very nice. But let's get this aircraft now up on to the turntable, gives you a closer up view of her. Now, obviously, when you've got detachable landing gear, that means you can take the gear out and replace it with the gear up elements and put her on the stand, which comes with the model as well. And these A380s look just as good that way as well. Again, as you can see, super easy to remove the landing gear down elements, and then you just got to get the little gear up elements in, which can be a little tricky when you've got fat fingers like I have, but they slot in pretty simply and they stay in really nicely. There we go. See, really tricky, but once you get them in, they stay really nicely. You just gotta actually make sure that you don't miss the hole, basically. So there we go. Better that time round. slots in very nicely. Now these other rear elements, they've been nicely detailed because they've actually still got the red paint for the belly, so they complete the belly section very nicely here. So these models provide a lot of really great detail if you're even looking super close at them. I mean, you could easily just place without these gear up elements in and it will still look great, but with them in just adds that little bit of extra something. So we'll just get the last of these in, and now the nose gear too, and we'll check her out on the turntable again, but this time with the gear up. Okay, now model number 2 is the Airbus A380 Emirates colours in the latest livery, and it is A6 Echo Oscar Echo, which is the aircraft. Now this is actually the same reg of aircraft that wore those Rugby World Cup colours in that release, but you can see in this case she's just got the standard new scheme on, and much like the previous model, comes very well packaged and is a bit of a challenge to get out of the box sometimes, but there we go. She's out of her plastic cradle and looking really nice. Now the new scheme Emirates has got much larger billboard titles and obviously has a different flag motif, a much wavier, linear flag, which actually is a really nice update, I think, to the other scheme. The belly still has the big Emirates tiling on it, and once again, it's easier to slot in the landing gear if you can get the bits out of the box, that is. And there we go, stick in the nose gear and then the main gear trucks. And once we've done that, we'll get her again up on to the turntable and show her off in all her glory with the gear down. Two bits to go. It's fiddly to get those last two pieces out of the box. But as you can see here, this is where AV400 have modified the spacing, and those last gear units are now closer, or the tyres are closer to the main gear units, which is a better spacing of the main gear. So that is the one improvement they've made recently, and that looks much better now with near overlap between those rear tyres. So really good. And then the model looks wonderful. And the gold of the Emirates tiles, you know, sparkles in the sunlight. It's a really glorious looking model and will look excellent alongside the A350. So we'll get her now up on to that turntable, as I said we would. There we go. That's a quick unboxing of the pair of new releases from Aviation 400 with the A380 in both the old and new Emirates standard colours. As I say, these models are going to be sold out quickly and probably pretty hard to find, so get your searching on. But I want to thank Aviation 400 for making these models and sending this pair to me. They're both really delightful releases and exactly the kind of thing that we need in 400 scale. Really high quality models with lovely features like the detachable gear. I'm a big fan of this A380 mold, and these two are going to look spectacular in my A380 fleet. And I may well put together a quick video of the current A380 collection, which is looking pretty good nowadays in its own couple of shelves in my hangar space. So keep an eye out for that. But for now, that's it from yesterday's airlines. Don't forget to check out my sponsor, Northeast Diecast. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. But that's it for now. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.